So in this client file, we sort of have the reverse problem that we've been trying to solve. Previously, we've been trying to take a bunch of data that's been crammed into one cell and parse them out. Here we have information in their own cell, but they are very separated. If we were to try to upload this file into DealCloud right now, it would not be pretty because currently have the company name, and then under it we have the address and then additional information. So what we want to do first is we need to be able to combine all of these cells. So there are 6 cells here. We need to be able to cram them into one cell. That way we can use the techniques that we've learned so far with the universal parser to parse them out to where they should be. First thing we're going to take a look at is how is each entity in this sheet separated. It's very clear that the way that Dalton Corporation and NEMA Enterprises are separated is through 2 aspects. First is it contains this line going horizontally across the sheet, and that marks the divide. Unfortunately, a computer is not very good at reading the intentions of these lines, and so we have to use a proxy. And so what we're going to use instead is the other noticeable divide, which is a long, one or more long row of just purely empty cells. So here we have 3 empty rows. It seems like it's more or less consistent that there's 3 empty rows. But regardless, as long as there's 1 empty row going all the way across, that's generally a pretty good sign that that is a mark of a different entity. So what we are going to do now is we are going to go into Universal Parser. We are going to go and upload this file. We are going to select combined blocks of data separated by empty rows. And as you can see, no columns need to be selected because effectively every column is selected. Every column is selected for where is a continuous line going horizontally of empty rows. So we're going to hit parse. In this sheet, we have successfully combined all the information that belongs to a single entity. So previously here we see that Dalton Foundries, it took place across 3 different cells. Now it's 1 cell. NEMA Enterprises was spread across 6 different cells, and now it's just in 1 cell. And going to the right, similarly, the investor contacts previously was 5 cells. It's now just 1 cell. For slightly more extreme stuff, you can look at these comments. These comments were previously in 14 cells. And let's say there's this metal tech going across to metal tech comments. See that everything is now here. Now that we have all the data in this format, we can now use all the other features of Universal Parser in order to parse out all the important data. I will help you out by doing column D. So the first thing we're going to note is that there are a lot of phone numbers as well as fax numbers. And so go through here, we see that the general format mimics this one. This is a good representation of the general format where it has the name of the company, address line 1, city, state, zip code, telephone preceded by TEL, colon, fax preceded by FAX, colon, and then it has the website. So we are going to parse these out in the order of difficulty. Basically, we're going to do the hardest one first because that way, when we pull them out, we will be left with an easier column to work with. And so I'll show you what I mean by that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to parse out the telephone and fax numbers into their own column. So let's go back into Universal Parser. We want to parse corporate HQ address. And so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to use the quotations parsing instruction symbol and say that we want TEL colon, and what comes after TEL colon is the business phone. And then on a new line, we also want FAX colon, and what comes after FAX colon is the fax number. I'm going to hit parse. All right, so we can take a look at these results. We can see that the telephone number has been parsed to the business phone column, and the fax number has been parsed into the fax column. And after these two lines were parsed out, what we have left is everything except for the telephone and fax number in column E. So we can go down the line and sort of QA it and make sure that everything looks good. You can see that for the items here where they did not have a phone number, a business phone number or a fax number, nothing was parsed out. And so these are an exact match. Everything looks pretty good. So we're gonna save this. And now we want to move on to the next step of the parsing, which is going to be parsing out column E. And we want to be able to parse out the company name, the street address, the city, the state, the zip code, and their website. Let's see if we can do this in one go. We're going to select edited corporate HQ address. I'm going to come here and we are going to select company, enter street address, city, comma, space, state, and the bracket, and then space, bracket, zip code, and then our final line is going to be website. All right, let's see what happens. All right, so let's see how well we did. So you can see that we have pulled out the company, Mina Enterprises, the street address, the city, the state, the zip code, the website, and then of course the business phone and fax. Here, the client seems like they adhere to a very rigorous standard of formatting, and since they didn't know the street address, they put an empty row in there. For clients that are less strict about their formatting, they might have not done that, in which case they might have thrown things off. And so before you run universal parsing instructions, you should make sure that there is a space, there is a empty row here to allow for the fact that there is no street address. And therefore the street address column is blank for Dalton Foundries. You can go through here and you can see that, yes, everything looks like exactly as we expect it to. And voila, you've taken this big block of company information that previously is not in a good state to upload to DealCloud, and you've parsed it out into their own individual elements on their own column. And now, if you only wanted to upload the company information, you should be able to just take these columns and upload them. Well, include these ones too. The next step would be for you to go through each of these investors and parse them out similarly. What you might want to do before that, though, is generate a field report and use the append collation method to stack these contacts on top of each other while maintaining the relevant company information. That way, you will just have one column for each contact information, each piece of the contact information. And I'll show you how to do that in my collation videos.